I order a lot of different roses from a variety of vendors online. Why? Because my local nurseries usually have a more limited selection, usually the most popular roses, and I already own the most popular roses, so I'm always looking online to get a variety of different and unique roses or older roses for my rose garden. Hey everyone, this is Lisa. Welcome to my YouTube channel, In the Garden with Lisa Monique. So I want to do today's video because I've been getting a lot of my roses in through the mail. And I just wanted to show you what they look like, what you can expect, why sometimes they might look a little more tired by the time they get to you than if you walk into a nursery and get them straight from a greenhouse or where they're cared for daily and don't go through that stress of shipping, and also show you the difference between a band rose, a potted rose, a bare root rose. So this is just a little more informational for those who might be new to ordering roses online, and again, just to know what to expect. So I will show you roses that I've ordered from David Austin, Jackson Perkins, Grace Rose Farm, Witherspoon Roses, High Country Roses, Heirloom Roses, and Antique Rose Emporium. I would be showing you Palatine also because those were really lovely this year, but this was the last year that they are selling them, so you can't order them online anymore. So let's go ahead and get started, and I will just be putting up pictures of kind of what I'm talking about as we go through it. First one is going to be David Austin. So I've not ordered any potted roses from David Austin. I've always ordered them bare root, and they usually come in March, maybe early April. I think 2 years ago they came in early April, but normally they come mid-March in Middle Tennessee on Zone 7B. And they come in a box with the David Austin logo, and then they are loosely put in plastic, and the plastic is just kind of wrapped around it. It's not sealed. Some other people will send their bare roots sealed, but the plastic is just kind of loosely wrapped around it, and the rose canes have been moistened. So usually it's still pretty moist when it gets to me, and not this year, but in past years, I have waited a day or two before I even took them out of that plastic bag. I checked to make sure that they weren't dry in the bag, and then kind of just wrapped it up again before I was ready to soak the bare root roses. And so they come in the bag. This year, I didn't feel they looked good. This is my third year ordering David Austin bare root roses, and I did not feel that they looked as healthy as they have in the past. Big difference. The past 2 years, almost all of them were grafted. This year, almost all were own roots. So I don't know if that's a difference. Maybe they're younger this year than the grafted ones. I mean, they all had the thick, sturdy canes. They just looked a little shriveled, a little tired. The one that I'm most excited about was their new release, Danahue, which they've canceled so many people's orders because the rose was not up to standards, but I was one of the first to order, so I actually did get that one. It will be interesting. I'm watching it to see how it does. I hope it survives, but it definitely is not one that looks the best. Last year, the canes were very healthy. I potted them all last year. This year I'm putting them directly in the ground, but we are just moving into a new home and I didn't have all my garden space completed yet. But the David Austins, I'm expecting them all to bloom this spring. They won't be big. They'll be a nice, small, compact bush when you first get them. Now I said I wasn't going to talk about how I plant them, but I trim just a little bit on the roots, just to kind of stimulate the growth. And if anything looks dead or dying, I will trim that off also before planting. Okay, so here's a picture last year of grafted David Austin. And this is actually after I had been soaking for 2 weeks in the water. And you can see it already started getting shoots. And so that happened with some other star roses that I got from a wholesaler. I had them soaking for over a week because I was out of town, and they also started developing the shoots. If you keep them in too long, once they start waking up out of dormancy, uh, if you just keep them in water for too long, they're not getting enough oxygen, and it can hurt them. So you just want to make sure if you are keeping them in the water that you are changing the water every couple of days, giving fresh water so that we'll get enough oxygen. Okay, next we're going to talk about Jackson Perkins. I did not take a whole lot of pictures of my Jackson Perkins. So and my spring order has not arrived yet. So it's 21st of March right now. I'm expecting it in the next week or two, but I have not received any sort of shipping notification yet. But I did receive one in the fall. I ordered it, and it was a potted rose, and they're packaged really nice. They're not in a gallon. I think it's a quart pot, and it came boxed and really well wrapped, and then they put a little bit of it's not hay, but some sort of raffia type material on the top that helps keep the plant moist. And it really worked. I felt the plant came super healthy. All my Jackson Perkins came really healthy. And even though this came later in the fall, usually after I like to plant it, it did winter over very well. So I was excited. I did get it in the ground, and it did winter very well. Last June, I think I ordered my Jackson Perkins pretty late because they had this really great sale like the first week of June, but they were all bare root, and they also super healthy, nice thick canes. Because I got them planted so late, I really didn't have a spring flush because it got too hot for them. But come fall, and they did bloom all summer sporadically, but come fall they were beautiful. So timing when you get your plants and when you get them in the ground is really important if you're expecting that beautiful flush. If you're not familiar with roses, the first flush in the spring is usually the most spectacular. But Jackson Perkins, very, very pleased with their roses, and they have some really beautiful exclusives also that I really like. So I definitely recommend them. And of course, I recommend David Austin, even though I wasn't as happy this year. But, I've had great success. I have, over 30 something David Austins planted, and they're really spectacular. And also David Austin, when you order directly from them, they have you a 5-year warranty. And I did lose 2 out of my 30 last year. One of them, I received the replacement this year. The other one, it wasn't up to standards. They said they would refund me or they would push back my replacement to 2026, which I said to go ahead and do that. Jackson Perkins, on the other hand, only has a 90-day guarantee. The next one is Grace Rose Farm. And the first order I got last week, they were well packaged, kind of similar to David Austin, that they were in the plastic. They did seal the plastic bag, but they were really healthy and nice thick canes, and I expect them to do fabulous in the yard. Last fall, I received some potted, were they potted? Yeah. Last fall, I received potted roses from them. They also looked really good. The delivery time, I didn't get to pick the delivery time. I think I ordered them in June, and then all of a sudden they showed up in end of October. And it was really too late to get them in the ground here. But I'm very leery on fall planting in Middle Tennessee. I just, we have to winterize, or we should winterize. If you don't winterize and you lose your roses, well, that, you really should winterize here. Some of my potted, because they're coming from California, so it takes 5 days from the time they ship them to the time I get them. So last year, some of the potted ones, the leaves were wilting. I might have had a little bit of black spot. Anytime I get a potted rose like that, I just defoliate the whole thing. I take off all the buds, and I'm only planting just basically a stripped down plant so it can send all of its energy into producing roots and getting established. And then it might delay the first flush a little bit, but I don't want to put a a plant with the leaves are wilting and struggling, I don't want to leave those leaves there because it's going to spend all of its energy trying to get that greenery to bounce back when, just defoliate it and plant it, and they will do fine. So anyway, Grace Rose Farm, I have a lot of roses from them. Next one is Witherspoon. This one, I believe, is in North Carolina. I've ordered 2 roses from them, one last year and one this year. And they're or bare root. I think last year I actually got a potted one, and it was huge. It was Grand Dame, however you want to say it. Oh my goodness, it was huge. But this year it came bare root. It was wrapped in plastic, and they had a lot of moss around the roots, which I really liked it. I mean, that is a super beautiful, healthy looking plant, and it's a climber. It's a pretty in pink Eden climber, and I'm super excited. I've got it planted up next to a trellis. I'm super excited to see it bloom this year. So the 2 plants I've got from Witherspoon have been very, very beautiful. It's a smaller nursery, but very well packaged, reasonably priced, reasonable shipping, and yeah, I really liked it. So I ordered 2 roses from High Country Roses, one last year and one this year. High Country, I usually go to when I'm looking for something that I can't really find other places. I ordered another one that was hard to find. It was called La France. It is the very first hybrid tea. It's the first modern rose. This is how it comes. Small pot. Again, young plant. I don't really expect it to do much. Maybe in the fall, I'll see it maybe have a bloom, but I will just plant it in the ground, get the roots established, and look forward to actually seeing lots of blooms next spring. It is one of those that's a little bit harder to find, so that's why I ordered it. Okay, the next one is Heirloom Roses. I get a lot of grafted roses. It's not that I choose grafted, but I don't mind grafted. Grafted tend to take off faster, tend to bloom faster. Forget that myth, they only last 10 to 15 years. That is so not true. You can have a grafted rose 30 to 50 years. If you live up north where it's really cold, like up by the Canadian border, maybe it's more difficult to keep a grafted rose alive in the winter and not have the graft take over. But if you're in the more temperate climates, here in the South, no issues at all with grafted roses. They are going to last you as long as you can keep them, healthy. They'll last you for years and years and years. But Heirloom Roses specializes in all own root roses. Okay, so this is a typical, you order, this is a potted rose. Heirlooms are in 1 gallon pots. And, it's delivered on its side, and that's very common. So, but when you open it up, they always have like a little bamboo stake, so it kind of prevents the rose from shifting and, crushing, moving and getting crushed in the box. So you can see the bamboo stake there. And then they also wrap the pot, and it's wrapped pretty tight, as you can see. So I just received 4 in this particular order, and you can see they're starting to have some buds, some a little bit leafing out, just coming out of dormancy. Now, heirloom roses are 1-year-old roses. And grafted roses usually are 2 or 3-year-old bush, and the heirlooms are 1-year-old. I had 7 of them last year, and they did bloom in the spring, but not a beautiful, thick, gorgeous flush. But the fall, they really took off. I mean, they all stayed fairly small through the heat of the summer, and then they really grew like 2 feet in the fall when it cooled down a little bit. Okay, the next one, or the last one, the second to last really, is Antique Rose Emporium. They were really well packaged in the box. They had these corner partitions that came out and held the pot down. And then pots were wrapped in plastic. Then they had like wet newspaper on the top that kept them moist. Yeah, they really looked good and healthy. They had blooms on them. So I think the Antique Rose Emporium is in Texas. I would love to go see them. But because they were in a warmer environment, they had buds on them. I did debud them. I just really want my roses to concentrate on putting roots for the first couple of weeks, and then hopefully just have a really beautiful May flush. But look how green everything was. I just thought they were really beautiful uh, plants. When they ship with so many green leaves, I'm just used to them looking a little more tired when they get here, but I thought they were really beautiful. So very, very pleased with the plants and how they were shipped on Antique Rose Emporium. And I'll have to look up on their warranty. Now, the other place that I've ordered roses, which I'm not really going to talk about by name, but I have ordered some on Etsy and some of those other sites. And you're getting really, really young roses. I would say they're probably like 4, 6 months old, band roses. And they are tiny, but I'm expecting them to do well this year. They definitely have branched out, multiple branches and everything. Um, but so that is another option. I mean, some of those places do sell patented roses and things like that. So I can't really promote, any of those companies or anything. But people do tend to um, tend to order from them, and just know you're getting an extremely young rose. They're less tolerant of neglect. And that's it. Those are the companies that I order from online. Again, I would definitely check your local nursery, especially if you're just getting started with roses. You can order now from all of these places that I've mentioned, and still get varieties shipped to you this spring. Over the summer, a lot of them go out of stock. It's not really a good time to harvest roses, not a good time to ship them, and then they'll come again in stock in the fall. If you order in the fall, I would still put a spring ship date. That's it. I hope this video was a little informational for you, and as always, I appreciate you being here. Thank you so much for watching, and we will see you next time.